listen up. I know it's been a while since I made a podcast, made a YouTube, or anything of that nature, and let me first apologize for taking an absence. However, let me admit that I took that absence because I needed it. It was for me, 100% for me. And the truth be told, I don't want to give you anything if I can't give you the best of me. So hopefully, as we continue, that's exactly what you'll be getting. And hey, I'm happy, I'm excited being back. I hope that you are happy and excited as well. Thank you for being here, but I need to get out of here because it's a little busy and I don't want everybody looking at me while I'm talking. I'm not going to pay them attention, but hey, just hang around. So now, let's hop right into it. What I really want to talk about with you today will simply be about communication. Communication, I feel in a lot of ways, can be that very thing that could either enhance and make your relationship that much better, or in short, it could destroy your relationship. And it's not the communication truly that destroys the relationship, it's the lack of it. And anytime that there is a lack of anything anywhere, it suffers. And this is what begins to happen in a relationship, is that it suffers. Instead of it being able to thrive, being able to flourish and just grow in the way that it could, it begins to suffer. It begins to be malnourished. And without the nutrients and everything that relationship needs to survive, it begins to simply suffer. I believe that if we live long enough, in short, we will see a relationship or two begin, and unfortunately, we may see them end as well. Of course, for anyone that that has been in a relationship or even in a relationship now, you would hope that their relationship just thrives. And I don't think that anyone intentionally wants to see their own relationship fail. However, this is one of the things that we're gonna kind of talk about, and maybe some of the reasons why. Um, in this episode, I will simply talk about a lack of communication, but I will also talk about communication too. But I can't ignore the fact that we are talking about something that could allow the destruction of a relationship, as well as the same thing that could be the building block for a relationship. That's where I will be today, and that's what we're going to talk about. Now, bear with me as I'm getting back into this. As I said, I've been off the scene for a while and now getting back into it because I feel this is the time. I'm ready to go. And that's, one of the things in life you really have to take note of is to know when you are ready to do something. Not when anyone else wants you to do it or tries to get you to move, but you simply have to know that you are ready to go. As I said in the intro, the one thing I don't want to do is give you just anything. If I can't give you the best of me, I really do not want to give you anything at all. It's just that important to me and what I give. So we go right into the initial contact, and I call this the supercharge, because I'm going to go over I'm going to go over 4 categories with you. And initially, to me, it's called the supercharge. Anytime you see someone that you have interest in, there's the adrenaline flow, there's these release of endorphins, and I don't know what all goes on in the mind, in the body, physically, mentally, and even emotionally. For someone you do not know, you began to go through a series or a stage of things. In some instances, I think where people find themselves, they find it difficult to breathe. They barely can say what they want to say. They cannot properly form words or sentences, and they start to stumble over themselves. That's the excitement that I'm talking about. And somewhere along the line in all of this excitement, there may be an exchange of information. Something as simple as getting to know the other person's name is where it starts. And I think for anyone that knows that they see someone or find someone that they're genuinely interested in, there is that energy. Now, we talk about that energy right now because that energy that you begin with in initially meeting this person, I honestly believe is the energy you want to have throughout the duration of this relationship, should it become or evolve into one. If it is and it becomes a relationship, you always have to reflect on what it was that got you to this person, what drew you, what allowed you to want to be a part of this person's life, and at the same time allow them to be a part of yours. Those are the very important things that we cannot ignore, and we should always keep at the forefront of our mind. When you go to sleep at night, why is this person important to you? If they're in a different city, if they're in a different state, in a different house, again, why are they important to you? And especially if they're laying next to you, why is this person important to you? So again, those are just some of the things just in getting started. But one, like I said, something as simple as getting to know each other's name. Now there's that exchange of information. When you get into the exchange of information, these are those beginning stages, the most exciting stages, because you are getting to know something new. And I think that's one of the things that excite people the most is something new. Now, the thing about something being new is how much did you appreciate it at the beginning will determine how much you truly can appreciate them or that something, someone, should I say, down the road. You know, and I say that because did you really like it? Or did you love it? And that becomes the question. Do you like it or do you love it? Now, like, I believe somewhere down the road could turn into that loving it, but imagine if you loved it first. And that may sound crazy, but that just means the amount of time or investment that you were willing to put in something, you were willing to take a chance. Like the stock market. I love to talk about the stock market, but I'm not really talking about the stock market. I'm just talking about investing. You see something you feel that is worthwhile and you are willing to invest in it. You see someone that you believe that is worthwhile and you're willing to invest in them. Is it a chance? Yes. How will it pan out? We don't know until it happens. But the question is, we have choices in life. And I will never forget the scenario. I think of two men on a mountain, and by the time they get halfway, one man on the mountain looks up, the other man on the mountain looks down. So in all regards, one person is looking at how much further I need to go to achieve this goal. The other person is focused on how much they could lose if they don't achieve this goal. So put your mind to things and continue. Go for it. Don't be afraid. So if you do lose out, that's fine. Your life will continue. You will too. You're strong enough, I believe, to get through it and continue. But we're still in the beginning stages right now. So let's continue with the supercharge of the relationship. As you basically go from small talk to, should I say, more intricate talk to even, more wholesome conversations. And during this time, there is a closeness that is developing between the two of you, and it just begins to get better, should I say. Then you're sliding over into what I consider to be now the point of where a relationship begins to evolve, where it begins to grow and it begins to change as well. Because the way that you saw the person in the beginning has now been magnified. That is a change. That is growth. That is more. It's been magnified. So you get to see them a little more different than you did before. You see more of them. You have more exposure. So the person that you looked at in the beginning is not the same person that you're looking at now, because there's more of them in the picture now. With that being said, you have these things. You begin to talk now more frequently, even to the point to where it becomes everyday conversation. I just got to talk to you. I want to hear from you. Now, that talk could come in a message. It could come in a phone call. It could come in an email. However the lines of communication are right now. I know we have people now that say, hey, my line of communication is something as simple as social media, whether it be IG, whether it be Facebook. But my question is, how important is this person to you? Are they so important that the only line of communication is going to be through social media? And to me, social media is not very personal at times. And if I feel like if a person only wants to contact via social media, it is very impersonal, and your closeness with me would not be there. And that's just being honest. If you want to be close to me, we pick up the phone, we talk, we centralize to one another. And that's what it becomes. So it all depends on what works for you as well. If social media is the way that you want to go and you choose it to be the best avenue or path to develop a relationship, go ahead. But once again, me personally, very impersonal. Um, as we just continue on here, you begin to talk, communicate very frequent in your days, not just one time in the day, maybe 2 or 3 times, or just throughout the day, back and forth communication. That is the point of where you begin to appreciate one another. And as you continue to go on that road, you now only not talk, you begin to spend time together. You may have went out on a date, 1 2, but now you just get to the point where it's like, you are so important to me, you become a part of my routine, my daily life. And that is the growth and the change that you can have in a relationship. So now you frequently spend time together, and then you begin to just want to share so much. It's to the point now where you feel like, I want to share every fiber of who I am with this person, every morsel, should I say, of my life, whatever there is to be, in a sense, consumed about me. I want to give it to you. I want to share it with you. And likewise, they would do the same for you as well. But it has to be reciprocated, because if it's not reciprocated, that should draw a concern. It has to be both ways. And this is communication. And in communication, for it to be effective, it has to go both ways. That means that a message is sent and a message is received. And sometimes you have to pay attention to the message that you are receiving. Pay attention to the message that you are receiving. But it's even more important about the message that you are sending. Think about those two things. Just in a sense, let it marinate a little bit. Consistency. You want to be consistent in what you're doing. And we understand that that there are probably times when you get busy or whatever the case you may be, but now is the question of, how important is this person to you? Not one for me to answer, one for you to answer. How important are they to you? Are they are they important enough to where you basically communicated with them every day? Throughout the day, you spent X amount of time together, then all of a sudden you begin to fade out. Because if you fade out, that means they're no longer important to you as the way that they were. That's just being honest. But if something happens in a day, they're going to know, because of your consistency, or what was your consistency, something changed. What's going on? Is everything okay? That kind of creates a concern, an anxiety, even a fear in some people. And I think the thing that we should want to do in these relationships when it comes to communication is to remove all doubt, to remove all fear. We do our best to do it. If you're not doing your best to do that, then you're only looking out for yourself, and you're truly not concerned about the benefit or the well-being of the other person that would be concerned about you. And as I said, things have to be consistent. So remain consistent. That same level of energy that you had in the beginning is the same level of energy that you want to continue through the relationship with. I'm excited about you then. I'm excited about you now. Even if we get into the conversation about the chase is not something that should ever end. If that person, you understand, is not worthy of your chase every day, let them go. Don't even waste their time, and don't get to the point where you feel like they're wasting your time as well. Just moving on now. You want to share, like I said, everything with this person in conversation. Not only do you want to share everything with them, you want to tell your family, your friends, hey, I met this awesome person. I just want to tell you about him. They want to know details. Oh, no, you don't need to know details. You just need to know that I have someone, very treasurable in my life right now. And that's what's really important. And when I say they don't need to know the details, people don't know they need to know your details. Those are your details. And I think that's one of the things that gets in the way of relationships. People know too much about your relationship with someone else. It's not their relationship. It's your relationship. And if people know just as much about your relationship as your partner, there's a problem. there is a problem. Again, it's your relationship. It's personal. It's not everyone else's business. And if you know, hey, if it is communicated any way or otherwise that you want it to be everybody else's business, at least uh, let the partner know that too, and hopefully they agree with you. Because if it's not, again, that's where it becomes selfish. That's where it becomes your relationship and not their relationship, or should I say, our relationship. Okay. And as I said, you just get to that point where you want to be with them, spend time with them. And then all of a sudden, now we've talked about one, which would be that initial meeting, that supercharge. I just refer to it as a supercharge. But then you go into what is the growth of the relationship, the evolution. And I think that's what you want throughout the relationship, is that right there. But as I said a second ago, and then I'm trying to stay away from it because I want everything that is in, the supercharged moment up to the evolution, the change, and the growth. That's all I need in a relationship. However, then there becomes a decline sometimes. And if there is a decline in your relationship, you have to be proactive. What does that mean? You move then. You don't sit on it, you don't wait on it. But this is something you have to consider, the way you communicate it to your partner. If there is a concern in your relationship, it's the way you communicate it to your partner. That's something you have to be cognizant of because you want this other person to receive what you're saying. So, in turn, don't do it irrationally. Don't do it in anger. Do it in, wisdom. Be smart about it. You know, think about what you want to communicate to them, but also think about what could be communicated back to you in return. I am hopeful that, at this point, there are two adults in the conversation and not one adult and one very immature person, because we're lacking an adult at that point. And you need two adults in order for the communication to thrive and be what you want it to be. Now, the decline, I'm going to have to talk about it at this point because it's one of the 4 items that I wanted to discuss with you. And that decline is when you all of a sudden, or someone seems like they cannot share things with the other person. Why? But I'm not getting into that. I'm simply talking about it. You get to the point now that you cannot share things with this person at one point you wanted to share the world with. You're hiding things. And then when you're hiding things, that to me tells that there is a lack of trust. If you have to hide, there is a lack of trust. And for you that may be thinking, it's not always a lack of trust when people are hiding things, or it could be a birthday party. It could be a special engagement or something you just want to do. That's fine. That makes sense. That's understandable. And you're not truly being deceitful. You understand? You're not leading that person into believing something that is not true. Well, in some ways you are. But this is a good reason. But we know that there are other reasons too. And it's because you intentionally are hiding something, need or want to hide something, and you really have to keep it from that person. And just moving on to that, you begin to trust yourself more than your partner. Think about that. That same person you had all the trust and belief in the world for, now you no longer trust them with you. Again, these are concerns because if they develop, if they happen, if you have them in your relationship, you have to address them. And if you don't understand the reason or know why, this is what I honestly feel. Oftentimes, partners in a relationship realize when something changed. But again, you cannot sit on it. You have to address it, and you have to address it immediately, or should I say you have to address it fast. You cannot just allow these things to basically come in between you and the other person, because I feel like they're cancerous. They're like a cancer. It sits long enough, it will eat away. And how progressive it may be, who knows? But I feel like the faster you get at it, the greater opportunity you have for your relationship to go back to that stage of evolution, growth, and change. Or you may have to go back a little further into where you actually began. Why are we here? Why did we start this relationship? Am I as important to you as I was in the beginning? Has the value of me changed in your eyes? And you heard what I said, value. I'm going to talk about that possibly in my next podcast. I want to talk about that. So again, that should be something that is addressed, not something you sit on, you wait around on. You have to get to it. To get into now this last segment, because we've talked about the decline, and now after decline comes another part that we have to discuss. I call this the unfolding portion. And what is the unfolding? The unfolding is now, in a sense, the mask that people have, worn begins to reveal itself as being a mask. You're no longer dealing with the person that you thought you were. You're realizing that you were dealing with that person from the beginning, who often has been referred to as the representative, the facade, the joke in many ways now. And it sucks because this happens. And what I am hopeful of in this conversation is that people realize that life is not long enough to play games with other people's lives. And I'll say that again. Life is not long enough to play games with other people's lives. If you want to play with your own, play it alone. But do not bring someone else into the nonsense, that you're doing or that you want to do. If you do, find somebody that's, on that same measure of thought as you, that is in the same level of maturity as you. Because I don't know what to call that. When you really look at it, what type of person is going to lead you intentionally down a road, you understand, that they know that they're going to just roll out on and have you continue to believe? That's very childish. It's very immature. You need some growth in your life. So, as I said, you're dealing with that person that has masked themselves, because now you find that in that conversation or in that relationship, you're no longer talking like you used to talk. Remember how things used to be in the beginning? Remember how things were in the stage that evolved and grew? Now you no longer have that. And you only begin to now, if you haven't already, if you allowed it to go past the decline and you haven't addressed it, now you're in things unfolding. And by this time it has gotten worse. It has escalated, and you no longer have you're not talking. You don't have time for one another. You're intentionally avoiding one another. And the ease in simple conversations, you're frustrated by one another. And that is the point of where, I'll be honest, you don't have much. I think it's as they say, a wing and a prayer, or a bird and a prayer at some point, and people are trying to figure it out. But see, this is how involved you are in your relationship from the get-go, because you pay attention to those things. I think there is a song that I can't remember, Focus. And in the part of it, the person says that, you're focused on me. And I think that is the most important part in any relationship, is that the two partners are focused on one another. You're not focused on, everybody else. If you are focused on them, you're focused on them together. And that's what's most important in that relationship, is that whatever you do, you begin to do those things together. But if you're at a point to where you no longer do that, those conversations you used to have, you can't have anymore. And that's another thing to look at too. It's not just the conversations you used to have. You have to pay attention to the conversations that you do have. How much is being omitted? How much is either being shared, but most importantly, how much is not being shared? Just something to recap on. Communication, I would simply say, is a key. And it is not the only key. Let me re-emphasize that. It is a key, just like any tool, but it is not the only tool. That's how important it is. And if you use it incorrectly, you get no results. Nothing happens. It doesn't work. will not unlock the door for you of opportunity and a world of, possible greatness with that person. However, if it is used properly, it can be very effective because a key reciprocates. Think about it. You know what you expect to happen. You stick it in the door, and if you turn, the lock will reciprocate to you the opening and communication that you have opened me up, and you can come in. All right, people, let me just say in summary, we all know that life is a journey, but what should you do? I think that journey is to figure out who you are and to live that life in the best way that you can. Will you make mistakes? Yep, you're going to make some. Will you make bad decisions? Yep, you're going to make some. The recovery from those things is what's more important. How will you recover? You understand? But in part, it starts first to me with self-identification. And what is self-identification? It's getting to know who you are yourself. You have to get to know who you are. Because if you do not know who you are, my question is, what can you present or provide to anyone else? So you getting to know who you are. Next, you begin to develop a relationship with yourself. Some people do not have a relationship with yourself. And what do I mean by that? Is that you do so much for everyone else, you do nothing for you. And you always hope for or thinking that someone else may come to the rescue, do something amazing for you. It starts with you. And I believe this is where you want to be before even getting into a relationship with someone else. You have to have a relationship with yourself. You have to get to know, again, who you are. And if you like yourself, then however, you can continue from there. But what you can do in this meantime is you can take that time to, first identify with the fact that you like who you are and move that into the point of beginning to love who you are. Because this is you now shaping yourself rather than allowing the world and so many other things to shape you. That's just how important it is. You'll be shaping your own life. And with that being said, as you begin to shape your own self, your own life in so many ways, it could be that moment where somewhere down the road, just quite possibly, after you develop a relationship with yourself, you love yourself, that you can find someone else that loves you just as much. And if you find that someone that can love you equally, just as much as you love yourself, by all means, I think that is the place that you want to be. All right, everyone. This is my time for today, and I just want to thank you all and say that I will see you on the next one. I already gave you a hint as to what it may be about. So please join me in a week from now. I may do it sooner for my next podcast and for my next YouTube release. As I said, I already gave you a hint. So if you didn't catch it, you may want to go back and listen again. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't hit it by now. Hit the fave, hit the like button. No matter what, just come back. Hit that notification button so you can know when the next release comes out as well. And, excuse me? Oh, okay, hold on. Okay, so thank you all for bearing with me. Simply, I just want to say, don't think that they put me out the office, okay? That's not what happened. No, seriously, thank you all once again. This is my time today. And so until next time, I just want to say bye-bye. But I thank you all once again. And until the next one, again, bye-bye.